Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely crazy paradox. We're talking about how the yard plants we have spent decades trying to eradicate might actually be our single most valuable nutritional resources. Think about it. Right now, somewhere in your backyard, maybe in your driveway cracks, or just hanging out around the borders of your lawn, there are plants growing that you've likely spent years pulling, spraying, and smothering. And yet, every single spring, they stubbornly pop right back up. Okay, we need to completely challenge everything you thought you knew about that perfectly manicured lawn you've been so carefully tending. What if I told you those relentless, annoying plants are actually way more nutritious than anything currently growing in your raised vegetable beds? What if the exact thing you've been actively destroying is worth vastly more than the thing you've been so carefully cultivating? Get a load of this number. The average American household is dropping over $500 every single year on lawn care. And a massive chunk of that money goes straight toward killing these exact plants. We are essentially paying out of pocket to poison a perfectly viable, completely free salad bar that's just trying its hardest to establish itself in our yards. It's honestly wild to see how fast our mindset flipped here. I mean, before the herbicide industry convinced an entire generation that a uniform golf course green lawn was the ultimate goal, dandelions were actually cherished. Pre-1900s, European settlers deliberately brought them over to North America. So a plant that we now blast with chemical weed killer was once carefully transported across an entire ocean, precisely because it was such a vital food source. All right, let's get into the nutritional powerhouses, kicking off our countdown with weed number 6, the classic dandelions. Here's the thing about dandelions. They require absolutely zero effort, they effortlessly break through hard, compacted soil, and they deliver nutritional stats that completely crush the crops we spend hours tending. Just a handful, about 100 grams of dandelion greens, packs an insane 558% of your daily recommended vitamin K. It literally has more beta-carotene than a carrot and gives you more calcium per calorie than a glass of milk. While your conventional spinach needs perfectly prepared soil and constant watering, the dandelion just survives the frost and produces food from April through October without you lifting a single finger. And the absolute height of irony, we pay for expensive chemicals to kill this stuff in our yards, while health food stores literally sell dried dandelion root for $12 a bag. Seriously, every single part of the dandelion is edible. You can roast the root as a coffee substitute or dry it for traditional wellness practices, exactly how people have been doing it for centuries. Moving right along to weed number 5, purslane. This little survivor uses something called C4 photosynthesis. That's essentially just a highly efficient way of processing sunlight and water, which allows it to absolutely thrive in full neglect and extreme heat, right when your tomatoes are starting to wilt and give up. It hugs the ground with these thick succulent-like stems and small rounded leaves, doing its best work in the exact conditions that usually kill off conventional vegetables. And here is the real kicker. Purslane is the only land plant out there that gives you omega-3s just like fish. It delivers a massive 300 to 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid, which is a crucial plant-based omega-3 in every serving. And it's completely free. That effectively replaces those pricey monthly fish oil supplements people are dropping $20 to $30 on. You're getting it right out of the dirt in your garden bed. For weed number 4, think about all the work you put into high-maintenance spinach. Then compare that to lamb's quarters. This is a largely forgotten Native American grain crop that actually belongs to the quinoa family. Look at how they stack up. While you are out there spending time and money prepping soil, fighting off slugs, and watering your spinach, lamb's quarters is probably growing 3 feet away for free. It delivers 4.2 grams of protein per 100 grams, which easily outperforms spinach. Plus, you get iron, calcium, and vitamins A and C. Oh, and you can cook it exactly the same way you would spinach. Moving into traditional functional foods. These next 2 weeds on our countdown aren't just calories. Traditional cultures have utilized them as highly functional survival foods for thousands of years. Plant number 3 is wood sorrel. People mistake this for clover all the time because of those little heart-shaped leaves, but it loves to grow in partial shade and those shadowed edges of your yard to perfectly fill in the dead zones. You'll usually spot it under trees, creeping along fence lines, or in those dark corners where almost nothing else will even try to grow. But if you've ever tasted it, you know right away it's not clover. It's got this awesome sour, citrusy zing to it, which comes from oxalic acid. That sourness is a massive indicator of vitamin C. We're talking about the exact same vitamin that historically prevented scurvy in sailors, or in people who had to rely on stored winter grains for months on end. When fresh plant material was impossible to find, wood sorrel was hiding right there in the shadows, ready to provide exactly what the human body needed. Now, weed number 2 is actual clover. You know the one, three-lobed leaves, little white or red flower heads. It's a perennial legume. Farmers actually used to deliberately plant clover in their fields long before synthetic fertilizers were a thing. Why? Because its root system hosts bacteria that literally pull nitrogen right out of thin air and deposit it directly into the soil to restore depleted fields. It is essentially a free, perennial nitrogen factory working right under your feet. And this is where the monetary value just gets absurd again. Those red clover flowers you're probably mowing into oblivion right now, they actually sell for up to $15 an ounce at herbal shops. Once synthetic nitrogen came onto the scene, we just arbitrarily decided this incredible crop was a weed, but you can harvest it for free or even sprout the seeds indoors during the winter, and you'll have fresh greens in just 4 days. Which brings us to the spring survival crop. Everything we've talked about so far gets totally outclassed by our number one weed because it solves a timeline problem that almost no conventional vegetable can fix. It produces food before your raised beds have even thawed out. If you're ever looking at a food security scenario, the absolute most dangerous period is what's known as the early spring gap. It's that brutal stretch in late winter and early spring where your winter stores are running super low, but the soil outside is still way too cold for any seeds to even germinate. Enter plant number 1, chickweed. It completely fills that dangerous gap. It forms these dense mats of tiny oval leaves with delicate white star-shaped flowers, and it sprouts right up through the frost in February or March when absolutely nothing else will. It arrives weeks before your last frost date, delivering these vital fresh greens with a nice, mild, grassy flavor that's pretty close to baby spinach. It's truly the ultimate early spring survival crop. And these survival mechanics on this thing are honestly just incredible. Once chickweed finds your yard, it is basically there for good. A single plant drops 800 seeds, and those seeds just wait patiently, remaining totally viable in the soil for up to a decade. It ensures that you will always have food ready and waiting when that early spring gap rolls around. So let's zoom out and talk about building a truly resilient food system. Take a step back and look at the bigger picture of what's actually growing right in our driveway cracks and along our garden borders. When you combine them, without ordering a single seed catalog or setting up a fancy drip irrigation system, these 6 free plants deliver an unbelievable array of nutritional and ecological benefits. You're getting omega-3s, essential vitamins, vital minerals, nitrogen for your soil fertility, early spring greens, and traditional medicine. And the best part? Not a single one of them requires specialized growing knowledge. You really just have to be able to recognize them. What's genuinely fascinating here is the realization that the cultivated system we pour all our time and money into, that's actually the fragile one. We relentlessly protect manicured lawns just to participate in a system that is entirely dependent on grocery store supply chains, expensive fertilizers, and high effort. Meanwhile, the weeds we're constantly trying to destroy are the ultimate resilient system. They've effortlessly survived ice ages, severe droughts, extreme heat, and total neglect. They are going to survive whatever comes next. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to wrap up our explainer today. These 6 plants are already perfectly designed to support you if you just stop trying to kill them. They have the power to feed you, nourish you, and heal your soil. The question isn't whether these plants have the ability to sustain you. The only question left is, will you let them?